Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jack. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast here yet again to fill your ears and your brains with all kinds of baseball nonsense. And remember, if you want nonsense, you can always find us where all of our haters find us, on Twitter. Also on Blue Sky, at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And then siblingrivalrybb.com is our website. And you can check out that, whatever we got going on there. Not sure. I haven't gone and looked in a little bit because somebody said they were doing something with it. But yeah. Anyway, so you can get there, but you can go to Fanatics link and get whatever your favorite gear is. Football's starting up. So if you got a favorite football team, you got college football starting up. So you can get some new gear for whatever your favorite team is. Of course, your favorite baseball. Lots to talk about today as far as what's happening with the Angels. The Dodgers have a game that everybody said they won, but really they lost. And we'll check out who have made it into the Little League World Series when we get to Around Baseball. But for right now, something we talked about last week, and a big thing, really, when you look at it, because I think it's gambling scandals of new are already showing that they're completely different than that of old. We know about Pete Rose, and his gambling was actually placing bets on baseball. Regardless of the bets, that was it. Other players who have bet on baseball, and if they bet on their own team, there's different penalties. Well, now we've run across something different. It started back in early July, and it's connected to two Guardians pitchers, two Cleveland pitchers.
Yeah, and it started with Luis Ortiz, and it was interesting because in early July, two of Ortiz's pitches were in question. He missed the strike zone with the first pitch slider. So that. And the reason that they were in question is because there was unusual betting activity on this particular game, June 15th versus Seattle.
June 15th, and I think again on June 27th. There were two different pitches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about whether or not he was throwing the game or, trying to fix it. It's prop bets.
Yes.
Or micro bets. Micro betting is another term for it. And what they said happened was that the bet was about what type of pitch he would throw to start off his very first pitch. And the pitch that he threw was not a strike. And it did set up, because like you said, a lot of people were betting on it, that potentially he threw that pitch on purpose.
Yeah. So it was, would the first pitch be a ball or a hit by pitch? And as you mentioned, it was a ball. And then it led to a walk and a 5-run inning in that particular game. And then the second game, June 27th versus the Cardinals, again, there was unusual betting activity on the pitch to be a ball or a hit by pitch. And Ortiz spiked a slider significantly out of the strike zone leading to a home run and a 3-run inning.
Yeah. So the prop bet was ball or hit by pitch or whatever. Ends up being a ball. The thing was he involved in that? Was that just a coincidence? Or did he do that and did he benefit from it?
Right. So that was the first Guardian.
And
you're
it was
like, oh,
supposed to only be till the end of July.
right. And they're on what's a suspension?
It's like,
Non-administrative
non-administrative
suspension.
leave or something like that.
Oh, non-disciplinary leave.
Right. There we go.
But this was then, we're like, okay, this is going on. Then you hear Emmanuel Clase has been also placed on non-disciplinary leave for the same thing, predetermining the outcome of certain pitches based on betting patterns that a betting integrity firm had flagged. So they had flagged these. With Clase's pitches, it is the same, those micro bets. And so they are both on non-disciplinary leave. Their lockers have been cleared out in Cleveland. They can talk to the team, but they can't come to the stadium. They can't, be with the team. They can talk to them, phone or whatever, but that's it.
Right. Yeah, they have contact there, but that's it. And it's through the end of August. It's been extended, which for the Guardians, that didn't help. Not that they were going to, but there was a lot of talk about Clase potentially being traded.
Mm-hmm.
And then they couldn't trade him because of that leave that he was on. And at first, it looked like it was just an MLB thing. It was reported at the end of June to the Ohio Gaming Commission, and then or the Ohio Casino Control Commission. Sorry, and so they're now investigating on their own, and they're cooperating with MLB as far as the investigation goes. And then if they want to, after they've done their investigation, they can turn it over and turn this into a federal case and give it to like the FBI or whatever, if it's warranted. So they are both these guys. I mean, we don't know what's going on. Obviously, we know that this could cause them both to be banned, potentially for life.
Well, and Clase, remember in 2020, he's already served a suspension for PED use, for steroid use.
Right.
So he's already has a, no pun intended, but a strike against him.
Definitely end up having a losing record there.
Yes. And interesting too, in Ohio, the governor there, he had pushed to eliminate prop betting on professional sports because they had limited prop bets on college teams in the state because they were having issues with threats against the college athletes from bettors.
Right.
And so now it's continuing, but on a professional level.
And there is some talk that they think that the reason that the Ohio Casino Control Commission has gotten involved and why it has been, and why they're answering, the MLB saying no comment, we have nothing to say, or they're not returning messages. The FBI and all these others have not responded, but the commission, the casino commission, has been upfront and is answering all the questions, and they think some of that is because the governor has this as a big thing that so they want the publicity for it.
Yeah.
So the question is, what's going to happen? What will MLB come out with? Will they end up being done for the rest of the year because they have to extend out, or what? So
I think they're going to be. I think their season's done. Just the way things are going, and just with. I mean, their season's done. The investigation may come to a close. I would say close, but at least now that you have state and potentially federal involved now, things go a little bit quicker than the MLB does.
yeah, MLB is slow about those things, it seems. I mean, it's nice if they're actually doing uh, going above and beyond and being very meticulous about it, but because you don't want to say, hey, I don't want to, these guys are bad, and then find out this wasn't the case at all. You got to really make sure that you're doing your due diligence for that. So
Yeah, I'm just interested, to see what the outcome is, and were these two pitchers, what was their involvement?
uh-huh.
Were they, obviously, I mean, if they were, and they had to, somebody had to have got to them, right? To say, hey, we've got these bets, and if you throw a ball, then you get you get so much of the bet. I don't know how that all works because I don't gamble, but
Yeah,
they'd
but
have to,
it's
because
not.
they'd have to
It
be,
doesn't
there has to
matter
be
whether you
something.
gamble or not. You've got to be controlling.
Right. Well,
You've
yeah.
got to be, a big gambler. It's not like you just looked and said, "Oh, will the Emmanuel Clase throw a ball? Yeah, I'll put $5 down on that." We're
Yeah.
talking somebody who wants to put down and is thousands or
Right.
more.
Yeah. No, like a casual, yeah, sure. I think he's going to throw a ball,
Here, I bet you a
$5.
dollar. Bet you a
Right.
dollar he hits this guy.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You'd have to be trying to be in such a position that making that money, and then maybe in a position too where you're getting parts of other people's bets for
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So
It's just interesting how they flag certain, that they have a betting integrity company
yeah,
that
there's
does,
somebody that's watching all that.
that's
It's
watching all of these bets, and they're like, this is shady.
right. Yep, and it did. It called it out. Hey, how come there's so much going on here? And then when they looked at it, it matched up. So we'll see, down the road what actually happens. But this is something that I wonder if they thought about this. Don't gamble on it. But it's one thing to say, like the guy from the Padres that nobody ever heard of that bet on and was banned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he never even really made it up into the big leagues, but he was betting on the Padres, and now he's done. But I don't think they really thought about that, and maybe these guys. I would have thought that Emmanuel Clase, being at the level he was, wouldn't do this. The other guy maybe because he's not at the same high level, but them saying they probably had to say, "What's one pitch?" It's not like I'm throwing a whole game or I'm walking people or hitting them. It's one pitch, but they don't realize what that could end up doing. They're learning now,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, and I had heard that I don't know, maybe they heard rumors, or that Class A possibly, these are Cleveland Guardians, that maybe he was involved, but they weren't sure. So like Stephen Vogt was like, well, I got to use him. I'm going to continue. I'm not going to not use him until something came down, because they didn't know. And then
Right.
it was after the Cooperstown when they
Yeah,
got the call.
they called him who was it, the GM or whoever it was that was he was on his way back from Cooperstown when he got a call about it.
Yeah,
And
that's a
the
nice
thing
call.
is too about Class A is that he'd been pitching really well. So it wasn't like he was hadn't been doing well, and so it was. Yet you still used him when you knew he was pitching bad. No, he had a low ERA over like a small period of time there, and was so why wouldn't you continue to pitch? As far as you can
Right.
tell, he's not doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, especially those situations you need him and he's pitching well, you're going to use him. So you just use him until, and plus maybe they were like, yeah, sure, his name's involved, but we don't know to what extent. Maybe they're just saying it. They didn't really know. And we still don't really know what, and neither one of them obviously is going to come out and say anything because that wouldn't benefit either of them.
And then they said that there were no other players or Guardians club personnel that were being looked at. So, yeah, it'll be. So we'll see. And what I wonder is, will this open up into bigger, a bigger investigation across baseball? Are they watching more for those things now than they may have been before? All right, time to take a look at what's going on in Anaheim. Angels had a pretty much a regular week, a normal week for them, 2-4. But what's interesting is that in a lot of these games, they look like they could win or come back and win. They have some strong showings, and then other times they just fall apart. They won one game versus the Rays, one game versus Detroit, and they took the first game versus Tampa at home. Yusei Kikuchi getting his first win at home in a long time there. They win that one 5-1. And then they dropped the other two 7-3 and 5-4. Then they headed off, and like I said, in August they have every Thursday off.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting, little, I guess, a good series, good thing for them as far as that goes. And then they end up in Detroit, and they were able to take out Tarek Skubal in the first game versus Detroit, taking them out 6-5. Leadoff home run by Zach Neto in that, and actually had 2 home runs in that game. And then the Tigers took him out 7-4 and 9-5 over the last 2. So not really, they're not really. They have moments where it seems like they're strong and they're coming back and they play all right, but they end up they're not able to finish games. I think that was something we talked about in the past with the Angels, their inability to finish games. So,
Yeah, I mean, in these games, you look, and there's guys that leap off the page. Joe Adele had, a homer a 2-run homer in the first game in Tampa Bay. He had one in the second game in Tampa Bay. Mike Trout hit a home run. So it's like offensively, they're, I think they seem to be, getting the runs on the board. However, you also look at who was pitching, Jose Soriano and then Tyler Anderson in those last 2 games versus Tampa Bay, and their lines were very similar. Like, they only go 4 innings, which the Angels pitchers seem to have been, at least at the beginning of the season, they were having those quality starts that we talked about. The Angels had the quality starts. The Dodger pitchers were not, and but they're giving up 7 hits, 5 hits here or there. Taylor, why do I want to say Taylor? Tyler, maybe I'm thinking of Taylor Ward. Tyler Anderson gave up 3 home runs in that loss, but they lost 5-4. So again, it does come back to they kept it close, but they weren't able to come back and win.
Yeah,
And
Soriano
this,
gave up 7 runs in his
yeah.
game versus former Dodger Ryan Pepio.
And I think too against Detroit, in those games, again, Kyle Hendricks, the 5 innings. I think in the last game, Kahanowitz was only 3 innings. Their average, the team average for batting was like 235 over those 6 games. So, slugging was 450. Their on base percentage was 301. OPS was 751 as a team. So it's not terrible, but are these meaningful games?
Not for the Angels, really.
Right.
I guess though, from this from that standpoint, it is, because you got these guys playing, and you're trying to keep them on. Still play at the top, continue to play the best that you can. I don't see a letdown in Zach Neto or Nolan Shanuel.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys are still playing. Luis Rengifo has been playing pretty well. So you're not seeing that. And up until Kahanowitz, who still came up and made a start when, we thought he was done. He was going to, I think now he's going to AAA and he's just going to sit there. Uh, you know, and um, and during the Dodger series, Tyler Anderson was a scratch. So they had to call up another pitcher. We'll talk about that next week. Um, the Freeway series. But it's that the starters had been consistent, and now and the bullpen had been okay. The only one that was really super consistent was Kinley. You had Reed Detmers for quite a while, then Reed Detmers kind of fell apart, and maybe it's just a little bump or a dip in the road, and he'll be back up and be normal again. His ERA was up closer to 6 instead of what it had been for that short period. So, yeah, the Angels, they're not at this point. They're not playing for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
They can cause problems for other potential playoff teams,
Yes, they can.
but
And maybe that's their, maybe they, I mean, I'm not saying that becomes their role, that in the clubhouse they're like, let's disrupt everything, and they could, but maybe that could be their role, because at this point I think, wild card wise, they're, what, not,
no, because
they're at like 6 games. Yeah, I was going to say 6 games. I just wanted to double check. 6 games back, so they could still, have some meaningful games to get them where they need to be. But it's going to be tough when you have Houston and Seattle, tied in the West.
right, and they're going to have to play them again.
Right.
On the way. Plus, I don't think, looking, at their schedule, they're not, they don't necessarily have an easy schedule to finish out here. Just talking about that, the Angels, as we mentioned, they've got the Dodgers, which actually just finished up yesterday, and we'll talk about all that next week, how that series went. Including the fact that Shohei back on the mound in Anaheim in the final game. So we'll talk about that next week, and then they both the Dodgers and the Angels head north on the 5. The Dodgers go home, but the Angels continue up to go play in the AAA park.
Yeah,
and at
Sacramento.
Sutter Health in Sacramento. So they've got the A's. Then they come back for a series again, 2 series in a row against the NL Central in Cincinnati and Chicago. lucky for them, it's not Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee, they're starting, if I was to make a prediction right today, I'd say Milwaukee looks like they could be heading to the World Series just the way they're playing right now.
They definitely have the best record in baseball right now.
And I think it's got to do something with Bob Uecker. I think there's
Euchre magic.
That's it. That's
So,
it.
So they've got that. They've got and they got to play Cincinnati and they got to play the Cubs. Two tough teams that are both in playoff races. Then they got to play Texas, who's not. I mean, they have a better look at everything, and as far as they still have to fight to battle. The battle to get with to meet up with Houston and Seattle, but they're more in the race than the Angels are. And after Texas, they go to the wall unit, the window air unit, instead of the juice box.
Oh, right. I was like, the wall unit. Oh, yeah, I know where that place is.
Window AC
Yeah.
unit. And then then they've got some time with KC. Who knows? The A's again, and then the Twins, who have fallen. But then they've got to take on Seattle, then Milwaukee. They got Colorado, and then they finish up with Kansas City, and the final series of the season for them is versus the Asterix. So overall, it's pretty tough, and it's not as if playing maybe other than Colorado, these other teams, KC ahead of them. Minnesota is right down there with them or below. So the teams that they're playing are similar as far as records go and things like that. So who knows what that'll lead to. All right. So how about a player of the week?
Player of the week. I looked at two guys, but ultimately I went with Luis Rengifo.
He was my choice as well. 333 batting average, a couple of home runs, and the 2 home runs were in one game.
Yeah.
He and Zach Neto both had multi-homer games. Any others that you had thought about?
I looked at Joe Adele, just kind of, but he hit 4 home runs, but I just, when I looked at Rengifo, I just felt like he was more deserving.
I agree with that. Kikuchi had a good week, as did Taylor Ward overall. Almost hitting for the cycle. Just needed a triple, and he'd have had the cycle versus the Tigers. And of course, Kinley.
Oh yeah.
He was. I think he was perfect last week. No earned runs for like 20 consecutive outings. So yeah. So like I said, next week we'll see. We'll talk Dodgers. We'll talk Freeway Series, and then how the Angels did versus Oakland.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
This is going to sound wrong for Dodger fans, but the Dodgers actually had a winning week. They were 4-2 on the week. They did win both their series. There were a couple times there that it didn't feel like they were going to win their series, and in the second series was a game that they should have swept the Blue Jays. But in a game that all the headlines was Dodgers lose a game they won or something to that effect, and it was all over the place that they just blew that game.
Well, actually, in the Cardinals, they lost that series.
Oh, how did I get that wrong?
I don't know, but they lost it.
I must have just looked at it. They did lose it. I remember that now.
Yeah. They had, and now the first game was, 3-2 loss. And a lot of it just came down to, it wasn't a bad outing by Tyler Glasnow, but it was Brock Stewart who came in, their recently acquired, trade acquisition, who, gave up 3 hits in a run. And then you had Anthony Banda, who gave up a home run. So I think the Dodgers, they were ahead, and then they lost the game because the bullpen seems to kind of be imploding. Even with Alex Vesia, who's been excellent, and he came up this is in the last game that they should have won. Shohei was on the mound, had 8 strikeouts in that game. Warboleski, they both gave up a run, but then Vesia comes in and gives up 2 runs. So and Shohei had his 1,000th hit in that series, a home run, and the Dodgers still lost the game that they should have won. The only bright spot, and I guess what you would say would be what Dodger fans, I think with all fans, but especially Dodger fans, what they're used to seeing is the 12-6 win where Mookie Betts actually comes alive and is 3 for 4 and had a double in that game. I think the biggest thing too is when you look at these series, well, look at just the Cardinals right now. They, 7 men. The first game was they left 3 on base, but runners in scoring position, they were 0 for 4. The second game, they were 5 for 16, but they left 7 on base. And then in the last game, they were 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position and left 6.
So the Dodgers actually went 3-3 on the week.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got that wrong. I guess I just looked at it wrong. And I watched part of that game versus the Cardinals where they lost.
Yeah. And because it was in the afternoon, I didn't get a chance to watch. So I thought, well, I'll just watch it, late in the, when I get home, whatever. Then I saw that they had lost and I was like, no, never mind. I can watch the highlights of Shohei's home run. Then the Blue Jays come down. The Blue Jays are on the top of the AL East. And first game, Max Scherzer versus Clayton Kershaw. You can't get better than that. And they actually faced each other back in 2008, I believe. And they weren't supposed to pitch. It was supposed to be Randy Johnson and
Greg Maddux.
That's right.
And they were D-backs versus Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And they both got scratched, which puts Scherzer on for the D-backs, obviously Clayton for the Dodgers. And this is the first time 2 pitchers who met as rookies faced each other again when both had 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So
and
Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And when you look at their lines, they both go 6 innings. Kershaw 7 hits, Scherzer 6 hits. Kershaw gave up a run. Scherzer gave up 2. One of those was a home run that Mookie Betts hit. So Mookie is looking better. He was 2 for 4 in this game. But very similar lines between the 2 future Hall of Famers. So you're like, all right, this is, knowing where the Blue Jays are and where they're setting, how they've been playing baseball, you're like, they got to win this series. They win the next game very convincingly, 9-1. Shohei Ohtani hits his 40th home run of the season. Blake Snell had 3 walks, but 10 strikeouts. I mean, he was dealing out there and he looked really good doing it. And then you're like, Sunday's game comes around and I don't know what the Dodgers were doing. But Glasnow's on the mound, still needs to work on that walk strikeout ratio. But it really was Blake Trinan, who is not the Blake Trinan that we know from seasons past, because he gave up back-to-back home runs. Alex Vesia gave up a home run, and in this game, the Dodgers were 1-10 with runners in scoring position and left 16 on base. And I think they had like maybe 13 walks, and they still lost the game, which I feel like the way the season's going, it just feels like this is indicative of how their season's going. Like their Shohei hits his 41st home run. Mookie was hitting. Freddie hits a home run, and they still lose the game, not for lack of offense, but because the bullpen seems to be at this point overworked, and they're just, I don't know, they need some help. And
are they overworked, or are they just not good?
Well, I think to a certain point they are overworked, because they have they're one of the top teams with the most usage of their bullpen.
Right.
Now, that happened last year as well. You're hoping that with Snell coming back, Glasnow being back on the mound, and getting a better complement, of your rotation, that wouldn't happen, that you wouldn't have to use the bullpen as much. But there have been times where they did, because like in this one, Glasnow only went 5 2/3 innings. So that's the thing, is these, I know they're coming off of injury, but you've got to see a deeper depth with the starting pitchers.
Well, that I agree with. I've always thought that. And yeah, they threw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relievers.
Yeah.
So, but Banda was just out there for an out.
Right.
Robleski was, or Robleski.
Yeah.
I've always said Robleski, but I heard somebody say it the other day, and I went, have I been getting it? Yeah, I have been getting it wrong. Robleski.
Yeah, me too.
Robleski, just needed 2 outs. Struck them both out, and then Kasparius was only out for 1 out. So, without looking at how many batters they faced, that's, I guess, that's just the problem, though, is that there's not consistency. If they're that tired, I get it. But, they go out, and one time they're great, and the next time they fall apart.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. But now you're seeing Vesia, who's been great, and now he's falling apart. Not sure why. I have heard rumors, because in Oklahoma City they put Bobby Miller in the bullpen, that he may be making an appearance. Right. But will it translate, over? You hope so. I think it's interesting. I see a lot of these posts from people like, don't panic as a Dodger fan. The Dodgers at this time last season, they were at this record, and this is their record. And you think, okay, don't panic. But, as of recording, the Dodgers are 68-52. And last year at the same time, they were 71-49. I think they were playing better baseball, but I think the biggest difference is at the trade deadline, we got Tommy Edman, Michael Kopech, Kevin Kiermaier, who I know you're like, Kevin Kiermaier, but 4-time Gold Glove, and he made some outstanding plays in the center field. He was
definitely a contributor.
Yes. And Jack Flaherty.
Right.
And I think that right there is why those pieces, all 4 of them had a hand and contributed to the Dodgers winning the World Series. This time, we talked about who they got, and it was, Brock Stewart. Okay, nope. And then you got Michael Conforto, who was not a trade deadline acquisition, but Kevin Kiermaier's 4-time Gold Glover. I know he retired, but Michael Conforto, no Gold Glove. Not saying that his defense isn't bad. He has a 245 lifetime batting average, and he right now a 187 batting average with 321 at bats. And I think Dodger fans are tired of Michael Conforto.
Well, I saw a comparison recently where it's like they let go of Austin Barnes
Yes.
at 204. Although a lot less at bats.
Yeah.
Who else were they talking about that they let go? A couple other guys. What's his name? Shoot, I have his bobblehead and Freddie Freeman's friend from Atlanta. What was his name? Right fielder. He went to the Padres.
Oh,
Why can't I remember his name?
know his name. Jason Hayward.
Jason Hayward. He was batting better.
Oh, yeah.
When they released him. And I know that it wasn't so much that they released him because they just wanted to release him. It was because they made these other moves and they had to let somebody go. And that's how it worked. But why do you continue to let somebody that's batting, 180, if that? And, he has a couple of good games. But for the most part, he's been well below average.
Well below. And he always seems to come up into those spots where something big could happen. We saw it when we were at Dodger Stadium, and they played the Mets. Went to innings. It was, 3-3, I think at that point, or
right.
And here it's like, and you could hear in the crowd when they saw him on the on deck circle. It's like, well, we'll lose this one. I mean, They did end up losing it, but then he gets pulled back and Will Smith comes up and he didn't do anything. But
and that was Tommy Edman bobblehead night, and Tommy Edman had 2 different opportunities.
Yes.
And didn't do anything on his bobblehead night.
Yeah. So I feel like this team, when I look at, you have who they got, and Tommy Edman is on the IL with the ankle injury. Michael Kopech is on the IL. He had the knee surgery. He's working on his way back. Kevin Kiermaier's retired, and Jack Flaherty they didn't keep. He went back to Detroit.
And if you look at it, not to say he would be the same thing here, but he's not having a very good year for a team that's playing really well.
Right.
He's got a losing record, and that. So, that might have been, we might have been saved from that, but who knows? Maybe he was happy to be here. Maybe that's the difference. Well, as we know, sometimes it matters where you work.
It does. And I think he was happy to be in LA. He's a hometown kid. He's from Burbank, and his mom was able to go to, all of the games, and his brother was there. So I think that makes a big difference. But of course, we don't know, would his season be the same if he was still, with the Dodgers. Right. But I just feel there's no urgency from this team. Max Muncy was in an interview, and they said you saw one of the reporters ask, and said, that you're now. I think at that time it was like maybe 3 games the ahead of the Padres, which they had a 9-game lead. And he said, you saw that they lost, and he's like, well, you can watch the scoreboard, you can do that. And it's just like, we just play our game. And I'm like, but you're not playing your game. Like this is not Dodger baseball.
No, Milwaukee's playing their game.
Yeah, Milwaukee is playing their game big time. I just feel like there's no fire. And when you see the after the game interview with Dave Roberts, and he, talks about, and it's like, well, yeah, things aren't great. I'm not quite ready, to go nuclear. I'm like, but your whole thing was we're going to run it back, but you're not running it back with the squad that you have on the field. You're just not.
Well, and not with the way everybody's hitting. I mean, yes, we're starting to see Freddie come back up. He's gotten his batting average back up over 300 again. Maybe Mookie, we'll see. JD Martinez has been with the team, been working with Mookie, hopefully to help him out. So there's things like that are hopefully changing. That top three is starting to pick it up again, but there's got to be a little more fire behind it. It's not going to be just like we're just going to flip the switch. Well,
right, and that's always been a narrative.
Yeah, once you think you can do that, you won't.
Yeah. It's not that easy. But I look, again, like I said, I look at these posts and they're like, calm down. They were, 68 and 52 and 69 and 54, whatever, at the same time last year. But again, if you go back and look at the series, for a lot of those series, they won the series or they split those series. And now you're seeing where they're losing the series. They got, obviously, this is back with Milwaukee. They got swept by Milwaukee. And when I saw them play Milwaukee, I was like, Milwaukee, they're out. They're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just feel like I like Dave Roberts, but I feel like we need Tommy Lasorda in there to light a fire, because he wouldn't have put up with it.
No. And you need a couple of players that are going to do. You need the Kirk Gibsons of the world.
Yes.
They're going to call them out and be like. And there is a difference when you look at the dugout. You don't see, last season there was a different vibe going on. And even recently, Teoscar Hernandez even said he was like real close to being a Blue Jay again.
Mm-hmm.
So is any of that having an effect? I don't know. But it's just like, hey, we did it. And then Mookie's been off his game, and we've talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie started kind of drifting off and falling. And had he not started out so strong, who knows where he'd be right now. Shohei, the thing is like you look, he hit 7 home runs in a week, but he only batted .204.
Yeah.
It's like you got to see that these guys, yes, that's the one thing with Shohei, though, is that he's always doing so much. And then, but, and he's, I saw another thing where it's like talking about strikeouts. These guys aren't really striking out much more than they did last year.
Right.
And I think the thing is that may be the case, but they're striking out in the worst times.
Yes. And I think that's where you saw those situations in the one game where they left 16 on base. I mean, they had multiple opportunities where the bases were loaded and they did nothing. And it wasn't the Michael Conforto every time. It was, Will Smith, who has been excellent, but's in a slump right now. He's not hitting like he has been, and you get a pop up or and then just some things happening on the base pads. I think it was in the Toronto game, in the Sunday game, where Shohei was on second and then he tried to steal third and he got caught, and Dino didn't tell him to go. He just did it.
No, and Dave even singled him out for that.
Yeah.
Although it did look like there was
interference,
obstruction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's he didn't think about it. Dave says not a good baseball play. And then I think it was that same game, Shohei strikes out with men on base. It chases a ball that was pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
That why were you chasing that? And honestly, I look at Shohei and I could tell when his head's in there and he's swinging right because he
Yeah.
stays on it. And when his head's getting pulled out, he's not paying attention.
Right. And you're seeing that where he's kind of got those wild swings going. And you're like, what are you swinging at? So I don't know what the answer is for the Dodgers. The Dodgers obviously have the ability and the capability, regardless of what happened at trade deadline, to get their team back together. They need that fire lit under them. But I do believe at this point, if they don't get something going, and even if they do, and they do make it in the playoffs, which seems likely that they will in some, wild card, whatever it may be, we're going to see 2019 shades of 2019 team where they played the Nationals and it was just, did they get swept in that? Or they won like maybe one game? I don't even remember. You went to at least one of those games.
Yeah, I went to one of the games. I think they won one. And
Won
they
one,
lost
yeah.
the rest.
But they just didn't. It was almost like, okay, we're here, we got to be here kind of attitude. And I don't know that we'll see the same thing, but I don't know. Dodgers need some help, and they've got, the Angels, who always play them tough, swept them at home, and now they're going to go to Anaheim to play the Angels. And then they have the Padres coming in to LA for 3. Padres fans are already talking smack on online, and this could be, I don't know. Fernando Tatis even said something about, oh, I haven't, I've kept myself from charging the mound. So it's kind of like, okay, are you saying you're going to charge the mound? What's going to happen? I don't know. Then they go to Colorado, and then they go to San Diego. So back-to-back weekends against the Padres. And again, I think maybe regardless of what any of the players say, oh yeah, it's just another series. They know it's not just another series. The Padres are right there with them in the standings. It's not another series, and they really need to come together as a team, because there is some kind of the cohesiveness that we saw before is not there. So that's my soapbox on the Dodgers, because I yell at the TV nightly.
You got a player of the week?
Yeah, I went with Mookie Betts because I feel like he came out, and yes, he's made, but he came out and he got a hit, that first in the game versus the Cardinals. The second game, he was 3 for 4, and then he continued, where I think it's the confidence builder that he needed, because I think you can feel like I'm going to be confident, but until you start hitting, that's when your confidence is going to come back. Before that, you're like, I'm going to be maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's Michael Conforto's how he does. I'm confident I will get a hit, and then he's never gets a hit. I don't think that's how it works mentally when you're a professional baseball player. I think you got to get the hit, get back on track, then your confidence comes back. Because if you're just up there and I'm like, yeah, I'm batting 95, and you're not gonna. You can have the swagger, but you probably be on the bench.
But he's had some points where it looks like he's breaking out of the slump, and he has a game or two, and then he's right back to it.
Well, he was more consistent.
I think he's an exception to that, once you start feeling it, because look what happened with Max Muncy, who, by the way, is my player of the week. Here he comes back off, could have very well gone right back to being an easy out, and it didn't take him very long, and he's back and picked up almost where he left off. 4 home runs, few RBIs, batted I think in the low 400s over the week. So definitely helped there. But he had to get his mind in a different place, and once he started getting hits, he hasn't stopped. Conforto, I don't know if maybe his mind's never been in the right place,
Yeah.
but he got
Maybe not.
hits, and it didn't help.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing for Dodger fans just in general is that every time it seems like he always comes up into those big positions. And we've heard Dave Roberts say, well, give him a runway. Well, his runway has run out. And something else needs to happen.
Okay, it's time to hop in the bullpen cart and take a ride around baseball. And as always, we start with the MLB Players of the Week.
All right, so the MLB Players of the Week will start in the American League in Minnesota, of all places, because who's playing in Minnesota?
So which of the fans
Yeah.
got Player of the Week? He was there for every home game, and he started in left field. 20-year season ticket holder.
That's right. Here he is. So Luke Cashel, I don't know how to say his name. I heard it and I still don't know. You know how I am with names sometimes. Keaschall.
Cashel sounds
Cashel.
good.
That sounds right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Minnesota hit 455, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, and a 1.318 OPS. Now, the thing about Luke is he fractured his right forearm after being hit by a pitch on April 25th, 2025 by Kyle Hendricks of the Angels.
All right.
And he returned to the lineup on August 6th.
Oh, wow.
And he's the Player of the Week. So, yeah.
Nice.
And then in the National League, Isaac Collins of the Milwaukee Brewers, 476, 5 extra base hits, and a 1.529 OPS. So those are the Players of the Week, MLB style.
MLB style. All right, so we got to talk about the Brewers. They have just been, they lead the league in the MLB. As far as they're in the standings, they are. I mean, when we look at how it, the old if this playoffs started today thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers, they've as of Sunday they had 76 wins. The next closest was the Phillies, with 69. I'm sorry, that's as of yesterday. So there's the Blue Jays have 70 wins. The Tigers have 70 wins. The Asterisks have 68. And the Asterisks started off slow.
Yeah.
But the Brewers are 6 games ahead of everybody. So at this point, they would have, if it all ended today, they would have the home field advantage throughout. And they're not. The closest, the Cubs are 7.5 games out. And honestly, when we look at standings, and I meant to say this in that, I think the Dodgers are going to be in second place when they take on the Dregs.
I think so too. And I mean, obviously of their own doing, but will that matter to them?
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, it's going to be whenever the Dodgers and the Padres play, it's always a good series because there's always some kind of fireworks going. Something's going to happen, and I'm
Maybe Tatis is going to charge the mound. Somebody wrote, even though it wasn't from the Padres themselves, said, "Hey, don't forget, we have 4 of the best relievers in baseball, and we can all throw at Otani."
yeah,
If
I
they
did.
go after Tatis, I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
Well, nobody went after Tatis. He just got hit because of how he stands in the box, and um, Otani was the only one that was intentionally hit in that whole series. I just think it's interesting just to talk about the Dregs real quick. Is how each manager, I think, except I didn't see Bob Melvin that do this so much, but it seems like each of their managers kind of take on that persona of, they go through like the Manny Machado school of we hate the Dodgers and this is what you have to do. Oh no, it would be better. Not Jerickson Profar. He was giving those trainings when he was on the PED
maybe,
suspension.
yeah, I was going to say, maybe that's what happened. Maybe he wasn't really PED, but they had to figure out some way to give him free time to go and
Yes.
do that.
To do to do that. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, right now, like the Brewers, if you were to look to see, what are their odds to win the World Series? They're like 4th. It's the Dodgers still at the top, the Phillies, the Mariners, and then the Brewers. And the Brewers are always in there in those playoffs. So but we'll see. Is this their year?
They make it every year, it seems like, and then they just don't go beyond
Yeah. So
very
is
often.
is this the year?
Because I
Like,
saw in the National League Championship Series a few years back, they played Milwaukee. The Dodgers did,
mm-hmm.
and I went to that. Yeah, you know what? These guys are all being, they took out the Mets, who are battling with the Phillies. Um, they took 2 of 3 from the Braves over the last week. And these guys like Isaac Collins, who you just talked about, um, he was huge. Reese Hoskins has been consistent. William Contreras,
Mm-hmm.
these guys, and then you look at it. What's his name? Former MVP. Uh, wow, shoot, I'm
Christian
forgetting
Yelich?
everybody's. Yeah, Christian Yelich has been playing pretty consistently,
Yeah.
all season long. And when we thought that he was on the verge of being done, he's not the MVP of the team necessarily, but he's got 23 home runs on the season so far with a 265 batting average. So
I think for Christian Yelich too is he's the season, it's not these three, he's not hitting 330 and having all these crazy things. For him, it's really about staying healthy. Because that's
right,
always been a huge thing. So yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, you always want your, yeah, I mean, my team's going to go. And when you're a Dodger fan, it's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the World Series. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that the Dodgers are going to make it to the World Series this year. But I would, if I had, well, I have $1, so I would bet $1
oh well,
on the Brewers
I
that
don't
they.
have a dollar. I don't have a dollar to bet you back with. So
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. But I remember Grandma and Grandpa Barnes came. They were on their way to Illinois, and the Dodgers and the Braves were playing. We watched it on TBS, and he bet me a dime that the Braves would win. Of course, I said, "Yeah, no, the Dodgers would win." Well, the Braves did win, so I gave Grandpa, you know, his dime, and they left early the next morning. So I didn't even get to, I think I said bye to him that night, and they were coming back through anyway. And he had left my dime on the table. So he didn't take my dime.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Let's get away from all of this money talk and big
Yeah.
league baseball. Again, and go see people who aren't worried about somebody throwing at them, aren't talking about charging the mound or that my pitcher's going to throw at you. No, these are kids who just like to play
Yes.
and have made their way to Williamsport. Little League World Series started yesterday, Wednesday the 13th, and it is over on the 24th of August. In between there, what is it? The 17th
Yep.
of 17th of August. These kids are going to have it just like they did. I think it was last year when Aaron Judge was there. This year, not only will they get to have Juan Soto there, if Juan Soto wants to participate,
Right.
but they're also going to meet Cal Raleigh Jr., Cal Raleigh Naughton Jr., the big dumper. Let's see. I want to see him slide down the hill on a piece of cardboard.
I think he would do it, and I think if I was a little leaguer, I would be so excited to see him because he's in little league and he was like, "I'm the home run derby champion," and it came true, and I can see him. He seems like just a big kid to me. When you see him in interviews, see him when he was at the home run derby. So I would be most excited to see him over Juan Soto any day.
Yeah. Well, but they're gonna enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I mean you've got Francisco Lindor, who's a
Right.
fun guy, and Pete
Mr. Smile.
Alonso, who's
And
you
Pete
know
Alonso is now the all-time home run leader for the Mets.
hmm
Speaking of which, we didn't bring it up about we didn't really talk about Mike Trout, but Mike Trout is 2 home runs away from 400. He's still
yeah
2 home runs away from 400. He has of his 400, 200 of them he has hit at Angel Stadium, and then during the Freeway Series, Shohei could potentially hit his 100th home run in Angel Stadium.
yeah
So,
yeah
yeah, that'll be interesting to see that. Kyle Schwarber, geez, another one. But that's not what we're
Let's go
talking about.
back. We're gonna go back. We got excited about
So,
Cal.
why don't we do this? Why don't you take the U.S. teams that are
Okay, thank you.
representing the U.S. regions, and I'll take the international teams, and we'll talk about a little bit about the World Series.
All right. So from the Great Lakes region, the Clarendon Hills Little League from Clarendon Hills, Illinois. This is their first time going to Williamsport, and no team from Illinois has ever won a Little League World Series. So they could make history. In the metro region, it's Fairfield, Connecticut. They had a 3-1 regional record. And this is the second time since 2017 a team from Connecticut is headed to Williamsport. In the mid-Atlantic, it's Glenmore Eagle Little League from Upper Ushalon Township in Pennsylvania. And they will have the shortest trip of any team, 160 miles for them to go. In the Midwest, for the second straight year, Sioux Falls Little League in South Dakota will be the representative. The Mountain Division or region is the Summerlin South Little League from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the third straight team from Southern Nevada to come to Williamsport. However, no team from Nevada has ever won a championship in Williamsport. In New England, first time for the Little League from Braintree, Massachusetts. And no team from Massachusetts has ever won the Little League World Series. In the Northwest, it's the Bonnie Lake Sumner Little League in Bonnie Lake, Washington. And the last time a team from Washington won in Williamsport, won the title, was 1982. In the Southeast, first appearance for Irmo Little League from Irmo, South Carolina.
Okay. Where is Irmo? I got to look that up. And just so you know, it's Upper Juklin.
Euclid, yeah. So Euclid.
Juklin,
Yeah, it's spelled weird. It's UW.
but it's pronounced Juklin.
Juklin, yeah. Use guys in Pennsylvania. Use guys. So if I would have went with that, I would have been perfect.
Yes, and
I know.
Irmo is kind of to the northwest of Columbia.
Oh, all right. In the Southwest, for the third time, the Lamar Little League is making an appearance in Williamsport from Richmond, Texas. And to round out the teams from the United States, the West region, this league, the Honolulu Little League, they have a 15-1 all-time record at the Little League World Series.
Yeah, they've been there a lot, winning in 2018 and 2022. So, and they beat Fullerton right down the road from me here in San Bernardino to get there. All right, so they've already started their play, and we'll talk more about what's going on with that next week when we've got a few more results. Coming to America to represent the international teams from Mexico, it is El Swing Perfecto Little League from Chihuahua. And they were able to get here with a win over the Matamoros Little League. They beat them 4-1, and this is Mexico's 37th appearance since 1957 in the Little League World Series. The Latin American region will be represented by Cardenales Little League from Barquisimeto, Venezuela. Who Venezuela's been here 24 total times. It's the sixth most among the international teams. And Japan, the Johto Little League from Tokyo. They went undefeated in regional play, and they will carry on. The Johto Little League carries on the legacy once held by Kitasuna Little League, which won 4 World Series titles. The Caribbean region is going to be represented by Aruba Center Little League from Santa Cruz, Aruba, representing the Caribbean League for the second year in a row. They went 4-1 in the tournament and bounced back to claim their third overall appearance. The Asia Pacific region from Taipei, Chinese Taipei, it's the Tongwan Little League, and they won the region championship with a 3-0 shutout over North Seoul, and finished the tournament 6-1 to earn their spot. They were last in the World Series back in 2015. That particular Little League. From the Puerto Rico region, Juan A. It's A if you're saying in Spanish. Juan A. Bibiloni Little League from Yabucoa, Puerto Rico. And they are heading to Williamsport with a 4-0 record in their region tournament and an 11-1 win over Hermanos Cruz Little League in the final. They scored over 45 runs in 4 games, including a 20-run outburst. 20 runs in 1 game. Australia from Brisbane in Queensland, North Region Little League. They found their way in and will be representing the Australia region for the first time since 2022 was the last time Brisbane was there. Panama region, the Wacamante Little League from Oeste Arraijan. They make the first trip to Williamsport since 2018 for them, and they went 8-2 in their region. And the Europe African League is the South Czech Republic Little League from Brno, Czechia. The third straight time that they will compete. I was going to say I remember that name.
Yeah, me
When I
too.
saw it. So, yeah, third straight time that they're going to be there. Canada is sending the Little Mountain League from Vancouver. So, Western Canada gets to send the team, and they will compete in the international bracket to see who takes on the American winners. This is their third trip to Williamsport, or their first time since 2022, and they had a 8-0 win over Leyritz Little League in their regional final. They were dominant through the tournament. They outscored their opponents 86-7 with just
Whoa.
one loss.
Wow.
So, and that right there are your teams for the Little League World Series. 20 total teams, 10 per bracket. And on the 24th of August, we will get to see.
Yeah, I love the Little League World Series. Just fun to see the kids and play. And yeah, some of them have some swagger. Obviously, you can kind of tell, like, I think that kid's favorite player is this player, just kind of in the way they they are. But it's a great tournament that's been going on for a long time.
I think the way to go if you're a player, kid, and you're there is when you have the major league team there when they're doing that. You do
Mhm.
like the kid last year. He didn't really do it, but his friend told Jazz Chisholm Jr. that his that he said, you're my friend's favorite player. And Jazz hung out with him. And then, like during the game when he wasn't playing, he went over and sat with that team that kid was from, and talked to
Mhm.
that kid. Told that kid whatever you need. So he's sending that kid equipment, and that most of those kids that were there were like, Aaron, Aaron Judge is my favorite player. Well, everybody's favorite player was Aaron Judge, so everybody wants to go
Yeah.
meet him. No, go find somebody else. And this kid, look what Jazz did. Jazz was like, "You're my favorite. I'm your favorite player." Oh,
Yeah, here you
you know.
go. Yeah.
So
Don't make it the obvious.
find so don't go to Big Dumper, don't go to
No.
Julio Rodriguez.
No.
You know what? Tell Josh Naylor he's your favorite player.
Mhm.
Maybe J.P. Crawford.
Yeah.
But that was kind of cool that it ended up working out for him. He's like, "You need anything? Here's my number. You call me."
Yeah. That's really cool.
So, I think the one thing that's kind of cool is, and you rarely ever see in the Little League World Series and the regionals, is you don't see these kids getting hurt. And if they look like they're hurt, they play right through it because they just can't live without playing. So none of them, and it's awesome because we will never have to establish a little league will.
All right.
What I need is I need to get. I had watched the most recent season of Crime Scene Kitchen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
need to get Joel McHale to do the Wheel of IL, like he does
Oh,
Bake,
yes.
something like that.
That would be
I'll have to
awesome.
reach out, see if I can find.
Yeah. Would he do it for free? Pro bono.
I could only ask.
Right. All right. On the wheel of IL from Baltimore, on the 7-day IL, Colton Cowser with on the concussion protocol. Tyler O'Neill, also of Baltimore, with wrist inflammation. Christian Vasquez of Minnesota with the shoulder infection. Austin Slater, newly acquired by the Yankees, on the IL with a strained hamstring. Ahmed Rosario, newly acquired by the New York Yankees with a sprained shoulder. Luis Severino, who loves playing anywhere other than Sacramento, has a strained oblique.
Oh, what side?
I don't know.
Maybe it's both sides.
I think it might be.
Oh, I can't turn to the left. I can't turn to the right. My oblique is really tight. It's going to be a fight. So I can get right, but maybe not till next season when I don't play for the A's anymore.
All right. Johnny DeLuca of the Tampa Bay Rays, formerly of the Dodgers.
I thought you were going to say Appleseed for some reason. I don't know why.
Johnny Appleseed. Johnny Appleseed DeLuca. Hey, that's his new nickname. We just right
There we
here.
go. Nice.
They could get Tampa Bay Appleseed. Apple, I don't know. They could have a whole night. Give out apples, variety of apples. Apple juice, drinks with apple juice in it, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, Johnny DeLuca, strained hamstring, and Nolan Arenado is on the IL. At one point, I was like, I think he's on the IL. This was earlier in the season, but then he wasn't. He really is on the IL with a strained shoulder.
So that was like a foreshadowing?
It was a foreshadow. I foreshadowed it. Brock Stewart, newly acquired of the Dodgers, right shoulder inflammation. And this is the thing about Brock Stewart is when he was with the Dodgers before, he wasn't great. That's why he wasn't with the Dodgers anymore. Then he goes to the Twins. He's better. But in 2023, 2024, he had injuries, like elbow and shoulder injuries. So it's kind of interesting that they would pick him up, but it doesn't matter because he's on the IL. Tony Gonsolin, you were wondering about Tony Gonsolin, the cat man. You saw him in the dugout, hanging out. I wondered. Elbow surgery, out 8 to 10 months. And this is the thing that stinks. He worked his way back after Tommy John surgery. He pitched, 7 games? And then back and had to have not a full-blown Tommy John surgery, but still had to have elbow surgery. It's kind of like how Dustin May was. You remember he came back and then he pitched and that was the end of that. Josh Hader of the Astros has a left shoulder strain. Gustavo Campero of the Angels, a high left ankle sprain. So Hader on the 15, Campero on the 10-day IL. O'Neill Cruz of the Pirates on the 7-day.
I know that you didn't mean to say that, but O'Neill.
Yeah. O'Neill.
Sometimes he is like, I'd like to have him on my team. And sometimes it's like, oh no, O'Neill.
Yeah. You're glad he's not. 7-day IL with the concussion. And then the Rangers is it the Rangers? Is that right? Yes, that's right. I just put Adolis because I wrote Arolis and I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, wrong.
Yeah, Adolis. What's his last name? Because I wrote the wrong total name. I wrote Aroldis Chapman, but it's Adolis. Left of the Rangers. We'll just call him Adolis. He just needs one name.
I think he's good with just one name. What is his name?
How do we not
going
know
on today? That
I
we
don't
keep forgetting these
forget names.
Garcia.
All right. Yeah, I'm like, that makes no sense. He has a left ankle sprain, and it is Adolis Garcia, not in my notes that I wrote Aroldis Chapman. Totally looked at the list and wrote down a completely different. That's so. I didn't even realize I did it till I read it. Ugh.
Right.
I mean, we saw Adolis I was rooting for Teoscar, of course, last year in the home run derby, but I really thought Adolis was gonna just go crazy, but he didn't.
He
And he's
did,
not.
just not in a good way.
Yeah. And so yeah, he's got a left ankle sprain, and that will do it for the wheel of IL. So we are seeing more players hopping on the wheel in this as we get we
Just
got
not little leaguers.
No little leaguers, and we got 7 weeks left of the regular season. So
Something like that, yeah. So we'll see how all that plays out. And maybe what you want is like where the Dodgers are at. They're having people come back now. And, you wanted to get them back a little earlier, so that they have time to get back in and get more game situated. But what your hope would be if you're the Dodgers, as far as injuries, you don't hope people get injured, I guess.
yeah,
But if you,
one person.
maybe, yeah, or two.
Yeah.
But those players, you want that to happen now, where if they're injured enough that they are going to miss most season, or they're going to be rusty when they come back, that it
Mm-hmm.
may cause that team an issue, and you may, get to be in a better spot, because you're not dealing with them, and they're not in there working their magic for their team. The Cardinals welcomed back Yadier Molina as a guest coach, so he was hanging out in the dugout. So that was kind of cool for them. Uh, the Orioles inducted Adam Jones into their Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Um, and of course, we talked about Cal Raleigh, who is on pace to break Johnny Bench's home run record for a catcher. And as much as I hate to talk about Tiny, who he's hate to say it, but he's probably I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he could get in unless the trash can thing all works against him. But he hit his 250th career home run. So quite the highlight.
Yeah.
And and of course, all the other guys out there that we know as great pitchers: Tarek Skubal, Paul Scanes, Zach Wheeler, Garrett Crochet, and Jacob deGrom all had great weeks as well. We had a historic moment in the major leagues just this last weekend. What was that? The Braves versus
The Marlins.
the Marlins. Yes, and something that had never happened in Major League Baseball before.
Yeah, they had the first female umpire, and her name's Jen Powell.
Powell, I think, or Powell.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Powell. She has made history to work the first female to work a regular season game in the major leagues. For the first game was a doubleheader that she started in, and she was the first base umpire for the first game, and then third base for the second game. The next day, she was behind home plate. She donated her cap that she wore to the Hall of Fame. And she has been working in the minor leagues since she was assigned to the Gulf Coast League in 2016. She also was an umpire in the AAA championship in 2023, and she also worked spring training games in 2024 and this year. But before she became an umpire in MLB, she was a NCAA softball ump from 2010 to 2016.
Huh.
So she already had that experience, but she worked her way up through the minors, just like the players do. The umpires, they do the same thing. They start in the minors, they work their way up, and she made it to the bigs.
Nice.
So
Well,
good for
and it was
her.
kind of a cool moment because it seemed like everybody was just going to go on And when she was behind the plate, first pitch, she called a strike. I don't think it was a strike, but she called it a
No.
strike. But instead of them just going on, as they were getting reset to go again, catcher got up and turned around and asked. He turned around and said something, and then they got the ball and threw the ball into the authenticator,
Yeah.
and so that so she could have that ball, I guess, or give it to the Hall of Fame or sell it or whatever.
Yeah.
But her first pitch, and it was kind of cool that um, that the catcher thought about that.
Yeah, that he made an effort to, cognizant effort to say, hey, you want this ball, this is historic. So a cool moment. We'll see, if we see her in any games as she, moves through the league. But yeah, cool moment for Major League Baseball. And we'll see next year. Will ABS be in play? So she might still be behind the plate, but she'll just
Well,
have
they're still
to.
going to have the umpires back there,
Oh, right. She just is
but
gonna have the earpiece in her ear.
the depending on how they do the ABS, they do it like they did in spring training,
Hmm.
or so we'll see.
Yeah, but very cool, and she will forever, her cap will forever be enshrined in Cooperstown.
The one thing that I've always been, we had women coaches get to the major leagues before umpires. I would have thought the umpires would have made it before.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I would have thought so too, but
but she was no better and no worse than anybody else.
yeah,
So,
exactly. I know there were some people that were like, "Oh, the first, that was a ball." I'm like, okay, well, I just watched, how many games, and the guys were called the same thing. So,
yeah, there was a whole thing about it. One umpire that called a bunch of those against the Angels, one against the
hmm
Phillies. It's like these guys are. So she's
no,
not out of range. And honestly, maybe we should go back and look and compare her to Angel.
oh yeah, totally. And see how she does. I don't know. She seems to be fitting in well as a Major League Baseball umpire.
All right, it's time to call it an episode. Putting the bullpen cart back into its garage. We'll get it all shined up and ready. Have the pit crew look at it for next week. I'm wondering if maybe next week we could get Brad Pitt to drive us around and get like a
Ooh.
F1 bullpen cart.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I would like the F1 bullpen cart. What would that look like?
I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
We'll have our resident artist see if we can get him to
Yeah.
draw some F1 bullpen
Put the
cart.
word in his ear.
Drop
think
it. What
so.
I mean, because it's not like he's got to go to high school.
He doesn't have to go to high school, and his college doesn't start till September. So
He's
yeah.
got time.
He
got the
has
rest of this time.
plenty of time.
And in college, you're not got necessarily the same schedule.
Right. It's not every day.
So he's got extra time.
He does.
I like it. Well, let's see what he can get. All right. Remember, you can find us on our social media at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A on both Twitter and Blue Sky.
And on Facebook and Instagram, Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. And check out the Fanatics link while you're there to get yourself some great gear. The biggest thing, yes, Major League Baseball is going on. Of course, we watched this last week. We were watching the Freeway Series. We're definitely going to be tuned in more. I know I will be tuned in more to the Padres and Dodger series because it actually is a meaningful game versus the Angels and the A's. But lots of great baseball there. But if I have a choice between Little League and a major league game, I'm probably going to watch the Little League game. And you can too. So watch some great baseball. It's fun to see all those games. And don't forget, tune in again next week. And always remember to swing away.